Look at the screen for a moment and be honest with yourself. How many hours this week did you spend worrying about money? How many times did you check your bank balance with a knot in your stomach? How many dreams have you shelved because you told yourself, I just can't afford it right now? You've been told your entire life that the reason you're struggling is out there. It's the inflation. It's the greedy corporations. It's the fact that you weren't born with a silver spoon. You've been waiting for the world to change so that you can finally be wealthy. But here is the cold, hard truth that most people will never have the courage to tell you. Poverty is not a lack of money. It is a chronic, infectious disease of the mind. It is a malignant vibration that has been allowed to take root in the fertile soil of your subconscious until it has become a permanent habit of thought. You are here because you are tired of being a mental drifter. You've realized that if hard work alone made people rich, the person sweeping the street would be a billionaire. You're starting to suspect that there is a master key, a hidden blueprint that the wealthy use and you don't. What you are about to find out is that your bank account is nothing more than a physical printout of your current mental vibration. If you don't change the software in your head, you can work 100 hours a week and you will still die broke. Today, we are going to perform a radical mental surgery. We are going to identify the virus that was planted in you as a child, and I'm going to give you the scientific formula to transmute a scarcity mindset into a fortune-building machine. To understand why poverty is a mental condition, we must look at a phenomenon I call the Great Redistribution. Imagine for a moment that we gathered every single dollar on the planet, every gold bar, every digital coin, every cent in every vault. Now, imagine we divided that total wealth equally among every human being on Earth. Every person, from the slums to the penthouses, receives an identical check. What do you think happens 5 years later? The logical mind thinks the world would stay equal, but the natural law of the mind knows better. Within 5 years, that money would be right back in the same pockets it started in. The wealthy would have found a way to reclaim their millions, and the poor would be right back where they started complaining about the unfairness of the world. Why? Because the wealthy possess a wealth consciousness that acts as a magnet. Even if you strip them of their physical assets, their mental thermostat is still set to millions. Their minds are programmed to see opportunity, to organize effort, and to render service. Conversely, the person with a poverty consciousness has a mind programmed to spend, to consume, and to fear. They view money as something to be gotten rid of in exchange for temporary comfort. If you gave a man with a poverty-stricken mind $1 million today, he would not see it as capital to be invested. He would see it as a relief from his current misery. He would buy the things he has been denied. He would help friends who are just as broke as he is. And within months, he would be back in the breadline, wondering where it all went. He didn't lose his money. He simply followed the commands of his internal blueprint. He returned to his mental equilibrium. So, how do you know if you are infected? It isn't measured by the balance in your wallet. It's measured by the anatomy of your thoughts. The poverty virus has 3 primary symptoms that act as a ceiling on your potential. First is the habit of excusitis. This is the most common symptom of a failing mind. The moment an opportunity appears, the poverty-stricken mind immediately searches for a reason why it can't be done. It blames the timing, it blames the lack of capital, or it blames the government. It creates a wall of logic to justify its own cowardice. The man who is skilled at making excuses is seldom skilled at anything else. Second is the bargain hunter mentality. This is the fatal desire to get something for nothing. The person with a poverty condition wants the harvest without the labor of the plow. They look for shortcuts, they look for free advice, and they look for ways to do as little as possible while expecting as much as possible. They do not realize that the universe keeps a perfect set of books. You cannot cheat, the law of compensation. And third is the fear of criticism. Many of you are poor simply because you are terrified of what your broke neighbors will think if you suddenly decide to be great. You value the opinion of people who are failing more than you value your own success. Your subconscious mind tells you that if you become rich, you will lose your belonging in the tribe of the mediocre. So, you sabotage your rise to stay safe in the valley of lack. You are here because you recognize these symptoms. You've been infected by what I call the environmental curse. Most of us didn't choose our mental condition. We inherited it. Think back to your childhood. Did you hear, "We can't afford that," or "Money is the root of all evil"? These weren't just idle comments. They were hypnotic commands, whispered into your ears while your mind was still in its most formative state. By the time you reached adulthood, you were pre-programmed to view wealth with suspicion and poverty with a sense of noble struggle. But let me ask you, what is noble about not being able to provide for your family? What is virtuous about having your potential stifled by the constant worry of debt? Poverty is not a virtue. It is a failure of imagination. It is a sin against the Creator who endowed you with a mind capable of tapping into infinite intelligence. You must be the mental outlaw who rejects this legacy. The greatest service you can render to the poor is to not be one of them. To cure this condition, you must apply the principles of mental alchemy. You must understand that the mind is a chemical laboratory. Your thoughts are the reagents. If you mix fear with indecision, you get poverty. But if you mix definiteness of purpose with applied faith, you get riches. First, let us examine the law of magnetic vibration. Everything in the universe is in a state of vibration. Your thoughts are the most powerful form of energy you possess. When you focus on your debts, you are broadcasting a frequency of scarcity. You are literally signaling to the universe that you are a needer. The universe is a mirror. It doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you vibrate. If you are constantly thinking about not having, you are acting as a psychological magnet for more lack. You will attract the wrong people, you will make the wrong investments, and you will miss the right opportunities because your internal radar is tuned to the wrong station. Second, we must master the law of autosuggestion. Your subconscious mind is a faithful servant, but it's quite stupid. It cannot tell the difference between a fact and a vividly imagined thought. It doesn't know the difference between a real gold bar in your hand and a gold bar you have visualized with enough intensity. This is your greatest advantage. To cure the poverty virus, you must begin to lie to your subconscious until that lie becomes its new truth. You must flood your brain with the vibration of opulence. Stop saying, "I'm broke." Start saying, "I am currently in the process of attracting vast wealth by rendering a great service." You must treat your mind like a garden. If you do not deliberately plant the seeds of wealth, the weeds of poverty will grow by default. Third, we look at the law of compensation. This is the bedrock of all financial achievement. Wealth is the harvest, service is the seed. If you aren't getting the money you want, it is because you aren't rendering the value the world requires. Most people are trying to withdraw from a bank where they have made no deposits. They want the world to pay them more, but they aren't looking for ways to be worth more. The wealth-conscious mind asks, how can I be more useful? How can I solve a bigger problem? How can I serve 1,000,000 people instead of 10? The moment you shift your focus from getting to giving, you have taken the first step toward permanent riches. But as you begin this journey, watch out for the saboteur's favorite disguise, perfectionism. I have seen countless men of high intellect remain in poverty because they were waiting for the right time. They want the stars to align, they want the economy to be perfect, and they want their business plan to be flawless before they take the first step. Perfectionism is just procrastination in a tuxedo. It is a psychological shield. If you never launch, you can never fail. Your subconscious is using high standards as a weapon to keep you small and safe in the valley. You must realize that imperfect action beats perfect inaction every single time. The wealthy man starts where he stands with whatever tools he has, and he finds better tools along the way. The poor man waits for the perfect tools and dies without ever picking up a shovel. Consider the story of the great industrialist who started his empire with nothing but an idea and a borrowed desk. He didn't have the capital, he didn't have the connections, but he had a decision. He knew that the perfect time is a myth designed to keep the masses in their place. He acted with such ferocity and definiteness that the world was forced to provide the resources he lacked. He proved that the mind is the only true capital. Everything else is just a physical echo of a mental state. You also cannot stay healthy in a room full of sick people. To cure your social malnutrition, you must find a mastermind alliance. The human mind is like a battery. When you connect two minds together in a spirit of harmony for a definite purpose, you create a third mind that is vastly more powerful than the sum of its parts. If your 5 closest friends spend their time complaining about the boss, watching idle amusements, and waiting for the weekend, you will inevitably mirror their vibration. Their poverty virus will constantly reinfect you. You must seek out the elite. If you can't find level 10 people in your neighborhood, find them in books. Spend your time talking to the titans of history: Carnegie, Ford, Rockefeller. When you saturate your mind with the thoughts of the great ones, your internal thermostat begins to rise. You begin to see that what you thought was wealth was actually just survival. You begin to think in millions, not pennies. Let us speak of the power of persistence. This is the quality that separates the wishers from the possessors. The person with a poverty condition is a quitter. They try a new idea for a week, and when it doesn't immediately rain gold, they say it didn't work, and they go back to their old habits. They don't realize that temporary defeat is the universe's way of testing their mettle. Every great fortune in history was built on a foundation of failures. Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times before he illuminated the world. Henry Ford faced bankruptcy and ridicule before he put the world on wheels. These men didn't have good luck. They had a refusal to fail. They had cured their poverty condition so thoroughly that they no longer recognized defeat as a possibility. They saw it only as a lesson, a piece of specialized knowledge that was required for their next move. If you are poor, it is because you have accepted defeat as a permanent state. You have allowed a setback to become your identity. To ensure this mental surgery is permanent, you must follow these 6 definite commands with the discipline of a soldier. These are not suggestions. They are the laws of psychological transmutation. 1. Fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. Do not be timid. Do not be vague. The subconscious mind cannot work with plenty or enough. It needs a specific target to aim at. If you were to walk into a travel agent and say you want a ticket to somewhere, you would never leave the station. Give your mind a number. Whether it is 100,000 or 100 million, state it clearly. 2. Determine exactly what you intend to give in exchange for the money you desire. There is no something for nothing. The universe does not reward need, it rewards value. Will you provide a superior service? Will you invent a product that saves time? Will you manage a team with more efficiency than anyone else? You must be a giver before you can be a possessor. 3. Establish a definite date when you intend to possess the money you desire. A goal without a deadline is merely a daydream. The date creates psychological pressure. It tells your subconscious that the time for drifting is over. It forces you to prioritize your actions and eliminate the distractions that are currently stealing your life. 4. Create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once, whether you are ready or not, to put this plan into action. Do not wait for more education. Do not wait for a better economy. The plan will evolve as you move, but you must move first. The law of success only works for those who are in motion. 5. Write out a clear, concise statement of the above 4 points. Write it by hand. There is a neurological link between the hand and the brain that is activated when you write. This is your mental contract. This is the decree you are issuing to the universe. 6. The ritual. Read your written statement aloud twice daily. Once just before you retire at night, and once after arising in the morning. As you read, you must see and feel and believe yourself already in possession of the money. This is the most vital step. You are drilling the new reality into your subconscious. You are forcing the engineering crew to accept that the ship is now heading for a new destination. If you can feel the wealth before you have it, the wealth must appear. It is a law of physics as certain as gravity. Why is the feeling so important? Because the subconscious mind is reached through emotion, not through logic. You can say, "I am rich 1,000 times," but if you feel like a poor man while you say it, the subconscious will only hear the feeling of lack. You must pre-live your success. You must walk with the posture of a man who has millions in the bank. You must speak with the authority of a man who knows his worth. You must treat your time as if every hour were worth $1,000. When your external behavior matches your internal decree, the physical world has no choice but to bridge the gap. Most people are mental drifters. They have no definite chief aim. They move through life like a leaf caught in an autumn gale, blown hither and yon by the opinions of others and the whims of the economy. They are poor not because they lack ability, but because they lack the power of decision. The day you decide to be rich is the day you stop being a leaf and start being the wind. It is the day you burn the ships of your old life. Consider the conqueror of old who landed his soldiers on a hostile shore. He saw that his men were outnumbered and terrified. Looking back at their ships and thinking of the safety of home, he knew that as long as those ships remained, his men would find an excuse to retreat. He gave the command, "Burn the ships." As the flames consumed their only means of escape, the men realized they had only two choices: conquer this land or die upon its soil. Because they had no retreat, they won. If you are still holding on to your safety net, if you are still keeping your steady job as a backup plan, you have not decided to be rich. You are still deciding to be safe. And safety is the cousin of poverty. The day of decision requires you to cut the ropes. It requires you to tell the world, "I will either find a way to accumulate the wealth I require, or I will die in the attempt." When you reach that level of commitment, the poverty virus dies instantly because it can no longer find a host. You are here because you have reached the point of saturation. You have grown so thoroughly disgusted with your current station in life, with the counting of pennies, the avoiding of creditors, and the stifling of your true potential, that you are finally ready to do the one thing most men fear more than death. You are ready to take total responsibility. In the end, you must realize that poverty is a choice. It is a choice to remain in a state of indecision. It is a choice to believe your excuses. It is a choice to let your poor man persona run your life. The same mind you are using to worry about your bills is the exact same mind you could be using to plan your empire. The energy is identical, only the direction is different. You are currently using your imagination to create a prison. I am telling you to use it to create a palace. Stop blaming the banks. Stop blaming the government. Stop blaming your bad luck. Stop looking at the economy and start looking at your internal economy. Are you importing thoughts of lack, or are you exporting service and value? Look in the mirror. There stands the only person who can keep you poor and the only person who can make you rich. You are the architect of your fate. You are the captain of your soul. If you remain in penury, it is because you have allowed your mind to remain in a state of drifting. If you rise to the heights of opulence, it is because you have chosen to apply the law of success with mathematical precision. Cure the mental condition of poverty today. Wash your brain clean of the static of scarcity. Fill it with the music of abundance. The master key is in your hand. The law of compensation is ready to work for you. Infinite intelligence is waiting for your definite command. The gold is waiting. The power is waiting. The liberty is waiting. But they will not come to the man who wishes. They will only come to the man who decides. Will you remain a drifter in the slums of thought, or will you become a master in the empire of achievement? The choice is yours. The price is paid in mental discipline. The reward is total liberty. Kill the pauper. Birth the king. Decide.